Hey, everybody, it's Will. We're back with another episode of Creators Outlet. Tonight, we're joined by Alex Dawe. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, why don't you tell us all about this project?
All right. Well, the project is called Zener, Master of Mind. And to give you a synopsis, Zener's real name is Axel Dawe, and he is a powerful superhuman who was born with immense psychic abilities. And at a young age, he had trouble controlling them. But through the help of his sister, he got better. But eventually, tragedy strikes, which results in the death of his family. And as a result, his powers overload, and he ends up hurting a lot of people. So he's forced into a mental asylum where he's kept sedated and poked and prodded like a lab rat for years and slowly rebuilding his sanity. Until finally, events happen where he's able to break out, and inspired by another hero in our universe and a childhood hero of his own growing up, Zener decides he wants to use his abilities to help other people. So he makes a costume and becomes Zener. The thing is, like, in Zener's city, Indigo Valley, there are a lot of powerful people and forces at work, and Zener, being the most powerful, is caught in the middle of it. As a result, he's dealing with all this traumatic experiences that are that really drive him crazy and like really put a stress on him. And this is not a good thing because he struggles with a fragile mentality and psyche. You know, he's pieced together his mind after so many years and it's slowly falling apart again. So he's juggling to keep that intact while trying to help people because at his core, he's a hero first. I mean, he's a healer first and a hero second. So he's and it's in the best way I can see it. It's like Superman dealing with a lot of Batman's dark stuff. You know, a good up moral superhero dealing with the dark vigilante type stuff that they probably shouldn't, and trying to hold it all together. And we feel that people would really love this series, not because they can relate to how Zener struggles with some mental issues and emotional issues, but also because of the whole world he lives in. Like I said, he's a very powerful man in the center of all these other powerful people who have their own agendas, their own abilities, and their own goals. And Zener's just caught in the middle of it. Either they want to use him for their reasons, or they want to destroy him to get their stuff off the ground, or they just whatever. You know, he's caught in the middle of it, and he doesn't want to be, but he has to be to help people.
Kind of like Zener would be the outside influence in the middle of the seven from The Boys.
Yes, he would be. You know, that's actually a good way to put it. You know, only in this case, Zener is not a godlike being with a asshole personality. Pardon the language. He is generally a good guy. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like what the comparison, to The Boys and like all the outside forces working in there.
Yeah, by all means, don't worry too much about the language. We went way off the rails the other night, so.
Well, I still try to control it. So
this is mostly adult content because we all say we're adults, but we're still living in our favorite 4-color pages. So
that's true. That's true.
Now this is done in Energy Comics.
Yes, that is our company. We are a small indie publisher, kind of starting out within the last few years. Our goal is we want to create the next big superhero universe. We want to and what we want to do is we want to do right by our readers. The people behind Energy, me and my staff. We're comic collectors. That's how we all start out. We start reading comics and collecting them. And then we want to create our own. And the thing is, like, being fans, we kind of understand what people go through in some of the bigger companies, kind of messing with their stories, not giving us good ones, or kind of doing things that are really questionable or trying to force things that shouldn't be. But Energy wants to deliver high-quality stories and original characters to all our readers, and we want to do right by them. Not just like in stories, but in sales and marketing and publishing. Everything we can do for our readers, we do it for them. And we're hoping to do that with Zener, and that's why we're working so hard to build up an audience so we can make sure our first campaign is a success, because we want to do right by them. I can't stress that enough. We are fans who are doing this for fans.
Now I saw there's an Indiegogo page.
Yes. the preview page for it. You know, like I said, at this moment, we are currently building our audience. It's slow going, but we hope to launch by next year. So at least by the early 2021.
Now, are you looking to launch the first issue through crowdfunding?
Well, actually, it's going to be the first volume, so it's technically 3 issues.
Oh, okay.
So it's so we hope to like fund that through crowdfunding. That's why like I said, we're building up an audience, and like this issue is kind of going to tell Xenor's origins and then kind of kickstart him into his superhero career. So you're going to see how he got his power, how his powers developed, what tragedy befell in life, his years in the asylum. You're going to see the cast coming together of like all the players behind his story, from the heroes to the villains, and you're going to see him rise to become Xener. So it is an origin issue. And we feel like people will really like this is really going to get people interested in the bigger story. We have to build everything up first because we want people to be invested in the character and to read more about the character. So we kind of
you have issue 0 done in chapters on a web page that people can read to get like a little background of some of the characters that are going to be involved in this, right?
Yes. The issue 0 is actually technically one whole issue. We divided it amongst different chapters for depending on the websites, because some only have certain file limits. So it's one big issue, and issue 0, for those of you who probably haven't seen it yet, takes place in Indigo Valley, where Xener is kept, and it's his first superhero battle. He's doing battle with this beast known as the Chimera, and people are getting caught in the middle. You're seeing all these other powerful villains like Salvatore working behind the scenes to work against him. And it kind of leaves you questioning whether Xener is the good guy or the bad guy, really. Because really that's a question we try to push with this story, because Xener does have a struggle with mental and psychological issues. And it leaves a question, is he actually going to become the hero we need him to be, or he wants to be, or is he going to be the monster that destroys us all? So it's kind of an ongoing battle that he suffers through, and we want our readers to follow with.
Now, tell us about everybody on the team for this book now.
Well, I am the creator, Alex, by the way. Hello. I created Xener. Probably Xener was created actually back in college, and he was a whole different character back then. He went through much of redesigns and revamps. Originally, he was just like all-powerful being with like who did dark vigilante stuff, and I couldn't get him back to work. And then like a few years ago, I had this idea for a superhero who had all these psychic powers, not just telepathy and telekinesis like the more common ones, but like mediumship, aura reading, dowsing. Some of the more minor ones you would either see on like a TV show or in a small story. I wanted to give him all those, so we worked that in there. We worked the tragedy in there until he was what he's seen now. And the other people who have included this is my editor-in-chief, Webb, who has been a big influence on my writing and skill and helped me develop it. And he's actually writing this story because he had the writing skill I needed to tell Xener. He is specifically knows how to write anthologies, and he is just perfect for it. Or I mean, odysseys, so to speak, ongoing stories. And the artist we have is Juan. He is from the Philippines, and he's just this amazing artist. He did a few issues on our other series, Empress, and his style is just perfect for bringing Xener to life because it has that superhero flair to it, but also a little original style to separate Xener from the big two like Marvel and DC. So it's its own thing, but at the same time, it has that artistic expression that classic comic book collectors like. And
yeah, it's got almost like an animated style to it.
Yeah, it kind of does. Juan does have that kind of style, and that's kind of what we like it because a lot of Xener is influenced by a lot of animated superhero shows we had growing up. Like the Bruce Timm ones, like the ones that got us started in comics, and we feel that that some of that style should be captured. What we felt growing up, and what we like should be copped in the comics we're trying to produce for people.
Now, how many different titles do you have at Energy right now?
Well, right now we have Empress, and we actually are going to reboot that after Xener because we realized we launched Empress too quickly back when we were still figuring things out. So following Xener, we will reboot her. But we have Empress, and then Xener will come out, and we also have another title series that will come up following those two, which is called Toon Man, the Animated Ace. And you'll actually like this. It's a story about a cartoon character who is banished to our world and becomes entangled in superhero affairs and becomes a superhero himself. And he's living in a real world where there's consequences to his actions. It's not like an animated world where everything works itself out. So he's slowly learning that. He's learning power and responsibility after the death of his friend and mentor. And you get to see a cartoon character act as a superhero, using all these cartoon abilities for good. So it has a bit of a Spider-Man flair to it, meets Deadpool. I don't really usually like to compare, but I will if I have to. So we plan to build our universe from around these three characters. Specifically, these are kind of going to be like our Fantastic Four because they do form a team eventually. We have many, many ideas for superheroes, a lot of which take classic comic book tropes and subvert them or invert them in a way that hasn't been done before and gives our readers something fresh, but at the same time gives them something classic that they love. So we try to be as original as we can, but also try to atone to the tropes that people love.
Well, it sounds interesting so far.
Thank
Now,
you.
let's go back prior to this. When did you first get into comics, and what was the storyline or the character that grabbed you and dragged you in?
Well, specifically, I've always been drawn to superheroes. My first shows growing up were both Power Rangers and Batman the Animated Series. I was watching those before I could walk and talk. And I'm just, in my mind, I've always wanted to be a superhero. It's still a fantasy that I kind of daydream about to this day. And I think we all do in some ways.
Oh, yeah.
But eventually, I realized, aside from being Batman, you can't be an actual superhero in real life. I mean, science has got that way. So the next thing I could do was actually write superheroes and create them. Because as a kid, I was like always drawing all these different characters, and I figured, why not do that with my life? Why not create superheroes that people would love? Now, to answer your question about what comics influenced me, the first one that really got me into comics was actually Marvel's Runaway. And this is actually a fun story. I discovered them on my 16th birthday. I was in school at the time. I was looking for a book in the library to read during study hall, and I found Runaways on the bookshelf in the library. And I was just so taken by the originality of it, the artwork. This was like just a normal Marvel superhero comic. It was fresh. It was interesting. And honestly, after that, I really began following the story, and soon I was blossoming into other titles like Spider-Man, Green Lantern, a lot of Jeff Johns' work, and started following them. And I went to more indie stuff like Zen Scope's Grand Fairy Tales, or Image's Invincible, or Valiant's Faith. So I've looked at them as like examples, but I've also followed a lot of other indie artists' work and their creations because I firmly believe in supporting indie creators and what they do, because I know I would want them to do the same for me. So # indie support.
That's always good. The one thing I hear over and over again talking to everybody, especially in all the multiple indie groups that I'm always floating around in, is that everybody's always backing everybody else's projects.
Well, yeah, and like I said, it's because we would want them to do the same for us. I mean, it's also because we want to back them because we want the projects. Mm-hmm. They are what these people have are some really creative ideas. I mean, I've backed a lot of projects myself, such as Impossible Jones or Earthworm Jim, original comic. I backed a lot of the Sunstone stuff. I did that because I love the stories. I love the appeal of it, but also because, like I said, I would want the same for them. I mean, I'm not doing it so they'll specifically back me, but I just know they would do the same for me, and I would do the same for them. So I feel that's why a lot of people back other work, not just because they have good ideas, but because they also would do the same for each other.
Yeah, everybody seems to be big supporters of the indie community in general.
Yeah,
I know it kind of bit me in the tuchus because like the first half dozen people I interviewed when I first started doing this show, I couldn't help but once I got more fluent in knowing what the story was, and more about them, and getting deeper into their work. I just kept backing their stuff, and it hit me because I'm disabled on Social Security, and all of a sudden I went to go pay my tab at my comic shop for the month, and my credit card was empty.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Well, because Kickstarter waits until the campaign's over to actually charge your card.
That's true, it does.
And I forgot all about it. So every project that I got behind got paid, but my comic shop is going to be waiting
Yeah.
for another week. I sold a pricey collectible on eBay, and everything went fine. And then eBay said, "Yeah, we're going to hold all your money for 20 days."
Wow.
And I'm like,
that doesn't seem right.
And all of a sudden, you're not allowed to talk to their customer service. They've got it all shut down. So
that doesn't seem right. I'm sorry. That does not seem fair.
Yeah, I know, but I'm dealing with it, and moving on to more comic book ideas. Now, you started creating this character, and I'm sure many others in college.
Yeah, I've always been creating characters like ever since I was a kid. I kind of started posting my stuff online, and kind of start building an audience and kind of honing my skills in college. Like specifically my freshman year, that's when I started developing ideas like Empress and Zener and Toon Man. They kind of started off as different things at first. The college is like I had some free time between classes, and I was using a character creator program to design, come up with stories, and it was through this that I actually met Webb and some of my other artists like Juan and Mateo, and we just got to get to know each other, and through it we became better creators, and we helped each other out. So I want to say Zener's kind of his original idea goes back to maybe my sophomore year in college. But the idea that he came now actually kind of comes closer to after I graduated college, like the summer following, and everything else that he is now is like been building up from years of work of rehashing, reworking, and doing it because like this stuff takes time, but it's worth it because we get.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to put a lot of time and effort into this.
Yeah,
but it's a lot easier now. Nowadays, if you say, "Yeah, I really like to make a comic book," it's like, well, then go make a comic book. It's not like 25, 30 years ago where you would have to conceptualize it, make it, get it printed, and submit it to Diamond or another distributor and hope you could move at least 3,000 copies so you would actually appear in their order form.
Yeah. It's not like that, but the process is still the same. To make a good comic takes a lot of time and effort, and like that's what we're trying to do with a lot of our other new upcoming series. We want to make sure we have. I mean, we can't get everything out at once, but we want to make sure we have the basic principles of our series down, so we can expand on them later.
Yeah, that's always a good idea. That way you can basically have like roundtable discussions, and now with the way video media works, it's a lot easier, even in the age of COVID, to just have like, online meetings and, get some chat sessions going. And
yeah, because that's actually what we do. We actually like do Hangouts, Google Hangouts to discuss ideas and artwork sometimes and kind of message back and forth. It's a big process, but we enjoy doing it. We don't really necessarily see it as work. We see this as our passion, and everyone enjoys working on their passion, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, here I am.
Yeah.
I've been collecting comics since I was like 4 years old. So
nice.
I'm old.
Yeah.
So
what has been like? If I could ask a question, what has been your favorite series to collect, regardless of what has been in it?
Well, I'll give you my top two original series from when I was a kid. Was any given Batman title.
Good choice.
Detective 447 was the very first Batman comic I ever bought.
Nice.
And back in 1974. And but Batman series back in the 70s and 80s and until it ended, I'd have to say, I read them all, but Brave and the Bold was my favorite because they would switch up the heroes that would be there, and there were occasions where Batman wasn't even in the book.
Yeah. And actually, when you say that, it makes me think of the Batman show, Brave and the Bold.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that's like a very underrated series because I was introduced to so many other DC characters I didn't even know about through that show. And I still look back on it with fondness. But that's what I like about Brave and the Bold too. How it features like a new superhero story like every week or month or however it went out. It wasn't just the same superhero in the wrong. It was like gave highlight to some of DC's like lesser known characters and probably gave them some of the stories that made them who they are today.
Yeah, they had it was a great team up book. And at one point, for quite a while, they actually had backup stories too, with a different character in the back. So I would say that, and my first team book that I ever started reading, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and it's still one of my favorites until Brian Michael Bendis destroyed it. Yes, I have a very big hatred of.
No judgment. No judgment.
It was Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes.
Nice.
Currently, my favorite book, I would say, is anything written by Jeff Lemire.
That's a good choice. Personally, my favorite go-to to read is anything written by Jeff Johns. He's introduced me to a lot of cool characters and like stories that I really started collecting when I really got into comics, and I just think he's a phenomenal writer who has really great ideas. He really revolutionized a lot of classic DC mythos,
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he created my favorite Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz, who I feel is like one of the most defining Green Lanterns of all, and is a very relatable one at that.
And she's been getting more and more interesting in Justice League Odyssey.
Yep. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
I still read, just about, everything I can, but I've been there's been a lot of horror comics coming out.
Yeah, there has actually. I think horror might be making a comeback, and I'm not sure who to say who's kind of drew on that, but I know there's like titles like Ice Cream Man and some other minor mythology ones. I'm not much of a big horror movie fan, but I always did enjoy the Zen Scope horror stories. How they combine classic fairy tale with modern horror storytelling, and they even collected some of their own horror anthologies for a while, and they were pretty good.
Well, you got new stories like Grit and Loggerhead coming out of Scout. You've got a book that just finished from John Lee's over at AWA Hotel, and he's going back to do a third volume of Sync.
Nice.
And I mean, there's just lots of good horror books coming out, and I mean, I used to love collecting like
Tales from the Crypt or
Tales from the like the reprints of Tales from the Crypt, the old EC stuff when they reprinted it, the old House of Secrets back in the 80s,
right.
from DC, stuff like that. I enjoyed, and of course, when Vertigo launched, and always loved Swamp Thing, and
yeah, I love Swamp Thing,
Sandman, and Preacher, and that whole line, Hellblazer.
Yeah, those were really revolutionaries, especially once certain writers got a hold of them.
Oh, definitely, yeah. When Alan Moore took over Swamp Thing, it just went to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Curious guy, but you can't deny he has writing skills.
Oh yeah, he's a little woohoo nowadays, but
Well, he was a little woohoo to begin with.
yeah, well, aren't we all?
Yeah, we are. That comes with being creative, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if Tales from the Crypt made a comeback. And I know at one point they were going to do a Twilight Zone comic. I'm like a couple of years ago. I'm not sure whatever became of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing that because they got that new Twilight Zone TV show out, and I hear that's doing well.
Yeah, on CBS, All Access, of course.
Yeah.
And he's got that, and on one of the horror streaming services, they brought back Tales from the Crypt. That's I've been told is phenomenal, but I've heard too many bad things about that streaming service and their lack of customer service to get me in on it. But I'm sure eventually Vudu will have it up on sale for the first season or something in about a year.
Probably. Well, who knows? The customer service might be coming from inside the house at one point. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like a little horror joke right there. Oh.
Now, you're looking at this coming early next year.
Yes. We're slow. We've actually been. COVID kind of set us back a bit. Because with everything that went down, we kind of had to focus on, staying alive and all that. So we kind of dropped off the grid for a while. But in the last few months, we've been slowly rebuilding, reposting things again, kind of getting people interested. So we're again building an audience, and we're actually making a good impression with our Indiegogo preview page. And we're hoping by the end of this year we'll be able to have a large enough audience that we can actually launch. And we have some pretty interesting tier ideas in mind. For example, one of our high-paying tiers is going to be for a limited high-paying tier. Is that if people support enough, they will actually be drawn into the volume themselves, so they will become part of Xenor's origin. And I know a lot of people. We know a lot of people like that. And another one thing we're possibly thinking of is giving away copies of our first volume of Empress away to a high enough tier. So free. So another book to go along with this one. If people enjoy it, depends on how much we can spare. We will be offering. We will be offering digital copies because I know people like that. Some people are very digital readers. I know that's a great lower tier option because some people, like I said, they love the digital copy, but it's also easier to access the digital copy.
Yeah.
So
it's easier to access. They don't have to wait for it. I know a lot of people, myself included, will usually go for one of the lower physical tiers, but
Right.
we'll make sure that I get it combined with the PDF. That way I can read it before I get the book in.
Right.
Because we all know, as good as they look on your screen, they look a lot better in person when you're holding on to them.
That's true. But yeah, that is a good option, Jim. We are considering, giving them and our tiers will be getting updates of the book. So with people who back the book, we'll be getting updates of how the book is progressing. So we do plan to keep them up to date on that on all our social media sites. So, because and we plan, and right now we're even trying to get most of the book done right now because we're trying to get the script completed. So once we get that completed, once we start funding, we and get our funding, we can start producing the book. Trying to get as much done as we can ahead of time so we can get the book out faster for people to enjoy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I just wanted to announce anybody that is watching, if you're watching it in a group and you're making comments, we can't see it. We can only see comments from pages. So groups we can't see. It's not my fault. It's StreamYard's.
Technology, one step forward, 10 steps back. Am I right?
Yeah. The easiest way to do it is actually, instead of just watching it in that group, just click on the link and it will bring you to the Outright Geekery Facebook page, and you can comment on anything from there, and we can see it. We can see it in the live chat. So if you have any questions, we can go through there.
Yeah. Any questions you guys have, please come free to ask us. Come, be one of us. One of us. That's a little.
Come down and play with the comic book people.
Forever and ever and ever.
I know. I am. I landed in the hospital back in 2016 and died a couple of times. And
ooh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well,
I
feel like the Black Knight from Monty Python. It's only a flesh wound.
Yeah, I got a grandmother who's actually going to be 100 this December. You know.
Wow, God bless her.
Yes, she is still going strong. She's happy at the age she is, and hope to live like a long life like she has, because she's lived through like probably the last century of history. You know, that's a lot. She went through a lot, and I admire her for still going strong for that. You know.
Oh, definitely. You need to listen to any story she wants to tell you, because that can be spun into future work.
Exactly. You know, she was there. She lived it, so I can know what. So I can know how to tell it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
I was thinking of something and I went, shot right over my head. I'm trying to coordinate like a couple of different things going on.
That's fine.
So we got everything working. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell everybody. Most of the links for NRG are either up above or down below, depending on where you're watching us. Whether you're watching us on, let me just move my camera a little bit. That's better.
So yeah, guys, we are on Twitter.
Down below, the Twitter link is in there. The
Instagram, Facebook, Webtoons, Tapas, DeviantArt. We actually started putting up a YouTube page where we do not only promote our comics, but we also do debates on popular culture media, like whether they're good or not, like are they worth their credit. And if you want to check those out, if you want something to listen to, you can come listen to us. They're kind of like podcasts, and we have some interesting points. My editor takes the negative side, I take the positive side, and we kind of like battle each other's points of view. It's a lot of fun. People enjoy it. So.
And what's the YouTube channel called?
It's our name, basically, NRG Comics.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
Yep.
Branding is everything.
Yep. So it's a play on energy. So yeah, love that.
Now, what are some of the comics that you're reading currently, whether they're independent or mainstream?
Well, let's see. Well, I don't really collect as much as I used to, because I'm trying to invest all my money into my comics of my own, and like, let's face it, collecting comics is a big time consumer. But I do stay up to date on all the comics that are going on. And like I said, Justice League Odyssey is one I follow because of Jessica Cruz. I've also been following Ryan Ottley's work on Spider-Man. You know, I loved him on Invincible, and I love what he's doing with the character, because I feel like he's finally pulling Spider-Man out of the slump he's been in for a while, even if it's just on an artistic level, you know? Because he's actually pushing to give like Spider-Man.
Spidey's been in a slump for like the last 10 years. So
yeah, well, I blame bad writing on that, but it seems like Ryan knows exactly what to do with Spider-Man. In a way, I think a lot of that is because, you know, his work on Invincible is kind of the same. You know, they both started out as teenage superheroes and kind of morphed into more adult problems.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. Of course, my favorite comic in the series I still follow is Runaways. So I follow that. I'm honestly happy to see the original Runaways back together, but don't mean to spoil anything, but I'm excited to see where this goes more. Let's see what else. In terms of like different stuff from different companies, I'm paying close attention to Valiant Comics and their series, because I admire Valiant because they're like one of the few indie superhero comics that are actually making it against the big two, you know? They have some pretty good stories to tell. They've got some pretty cool characters. I like Faye. Um, it's a really cool series. What else? What else do I read? Naturally, some of my favorites to follow are also characters I enjoy, like Flash, Green Lantern, Harley Quinn, especially because I think she's awesome.
No more.
What?
Series is canceled.
Oh, well, yeah, she.
The last issue just came out Wednesday.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm sad to see that go.
Yeah, they canceled like 25-30% of their entire line. So
I think it was more than that. So I'm sad to see.
Well, yeah, they pretty much fired like 80% of the staff. So
Yeah. So that was. It's probably for the best. I'm hoping it gets DC back to basics.
we don't need to be, and Marvel, pay attention. We don't need a dozen issues for each character or each popular team. Or I know Marvel won't listen because Marvel is part of the mouse, and the mouse likes to just flood the market with an idea that sells,
and
just beat it against the wall till it is dead. So
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know where they're going to happen. Maybe they'll implode on themselves, but only time will tell. But hopefully they take it. Hopefully, if DC does well, they'll take a cue from it.
Well, basically, what DC is doing now is what Marvel did back in the '90s when they were filing bankruptcy for like the second or third time in a row.
Wow.
And that's where they lost everything to like Fox and Sony, and because they leased out all their big characters to other companies for movie rights.
Right.
DC isn't doing that. They're keeping all that stuff in house, but
still expediting.
Instead of doing it in steps, they did it all at once. Just a big giant purge. When they're still going, and their social media isn't a fan of mine because every time they put up a new thing for DC Fandom, I'm like, but will there be anybody besides Jim Lee still working at DC on the 22nd? Comment deleted. Comment deleted. Comment deleted.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, if DC, really, what concerns me is if Jeff Johns is still going to be working for them. I mean, he's one of the few DC people I really like.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
He is all in on the on entertainment with the Stargirl series.
All right.
There's been a bunch of actors and people that have, because there's nothing to do in the age of COVID but to, take to social media and talk crap about people. So there's been a bunch of people telling, claiming that, he is, a wicked person and he's terrible to work for. And,
really?
Throwing him in the same bus with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer director there, Josh Whedon.
Wow.
So but it's like, well, let's make something up about this person. We don't know if it's true or not. I know that I loved the first season of Stargirl. I thought it was phenomenal. I'm still waiting to see who they give the damn Green Lantern ring to.
Yes, and again, I'm really hoping they go for like overbroke and do like the Simon Baz Green Jessica Cruz partnership, because like that was one of my favorite storylines to read. Not just because it had Jessica Cruz, but because of the partnership dynamic between them. They really played off each other in a way that they both grew as they needed to.
Well, except for CW, everything DC is moving over to HBO Max.
Yeah. So
So
I don't even know what's going to happen to their streaming service.
it's gone.
Oh, wow.
You're going to hear all about what's happening to it on the 22nd, but if you're tuned in to the right time of the 24-hour, one day only thing, they should have done it like for a weekend, like 12 hours at a whack or something. But
Yeah.
either way, I'm sure they're gonna announce that because everything, all the video stuff that's been on the DCU app is going over to HBO Max. There's a possibility that the CW stuff might be going over there too. They might be pulling it. They might. There's a possibility they might dissolve the agreement with Netflix. How Netflix gets, each season, like a couple of weeks after it's done. They might just put all of that over to
HBO.
HBO. So
Well,
there's no way of telling them. There's been no talk as of yet if they're going to move the comic books over there. I don't think they will.
well, I feel like most of their comics should like stay on Comixology.
Yeah, but the only difference is their own app made it so it was like their version of Marvel Unlimited, so they could read over 20,000 issues of comics, going all the way back. Nothing current, of course, just like Marvel,
Right.
and time will tell. This weekend, we'll learn a lot of of all this junk they're doing. What's gonna, there's a good. I feel that they're just throwing a whole bunch of crap at the wall to see what sticks.
That might be the case. That probably is the case.
I'm pretty sure AT&T doesn't have a clue on how to run an entertainment company.
Yeah. Well, all I know is wherever the Burton Batman films and the Bruce Timm animated series go, I will follow. Those are my favorite to watch.
Well, I own most all of them already, so
They're really good. They're my favorites.
the physical copies, all the ones that they released is, the 2-part episodes that they would release is like, a quote unquote movie, on DVD,
Right.
like Cat's Claw, which was the 2-part cat, and a few others. Plus they continued on, of course, Mask of the Phantasm, which I still remember going to see it at the movie theaters a few dozen times.
Yeah, I would love to see that in the theaters. There's like before the movie theaters all closed, I would sometimes go to like Fathom events at my movie theaters, see like these classics. I would have loved for them to do Mask of the Phantasm.
I remember years and years ago. I'd say like could be close to like 10 years ago. A friend of mine and myself used to go out for movie night at the local cinema at the mall, and we'd go see like an 8 or 9 o'clock show, and if nobody was around, we'd walk into the next one.
Nice.
Then at midnight, they had like throwback midnight showings, during the summertime, of course.
Right.
And it was like on Friday. It was like on Saturday night. It was Saturday nights. And one Saturday night we went. It was Jaws. Another week it was E.T. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen this movie since I was 11.
So it was like a Shakespeare-thon. I'm not a Shakespeare, a Spielberg-thon.
Yeah. So it was like, and they'd have like, older movies like that. I see a lot of that going on now as the theaters are starting to reopen because there's really nothing out there.
Right.
So they're just paying companies to get, older movie prints to show.
Well,
Because I was looking up on the link because they're still forcing New Mutants into theaters for the 28th.
yeah, I gotta be honest. Like with the new previews, it seems like a less of a horror movie than it went out to be. It feels actually more like a traditional superhero movie now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if that was their intention in the rework of it or not. But so I'm just at this point, I'm not sure what to make of it.
Won't know until you watch it.
Yeah. Again, I'm not much of a horror man, but I will go see anything superhero related, so I will probably see that.
Well, I was looking, and the link at the closest, because it's all IMAX. The closest IMAX to me is showing the original Indiana Jones movie,
Oh yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they're also showing not Return of the Jedi, number 2.
Empire Strikes Back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just been a long day.
It's been a long for me too. Yeah. So.
So I was like, wow. So this is the first movie since the shutdown at the beginning of the year. So
yeah. Well, Wonder Woman 84 was supposed to come out like 2 weeks ago. And I don't know what happened to that. I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to stream it somewhere.
Last I heard, they pushed it back to November. They might end up pushing it to the first quarter of next year.
Well, they'll probably just keep pushing it and pushing it until it comes out the other end.
Yeah. Yet again, Fandom. I do not have high hopes for Fandom.
I'm not holding my breath either. I'd still go to see it, but I'm just like, I just want to see it, at this point, because like the first Wonder Woman movie was like a big influence on our work, it got us off the ground and actually started us making comics,
Oh, it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I was worried about that movie going in because like we've had dozens of Batman and Superman films to go off of. We haven't had really much of Wonder Woman films. This was like her first movie that wasn't animated, and I was worried about it. But I went in and God's my witness. I was taken away. I was blown away by it. I loved every minute of it.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
And all the trailers I've seen for 84 is even better because, I still think it's 1984. So,
Yeah. Well, I love the 80s. I'm a 90s. I mean, I was born in the 90s, but I love the 80s culture, Because, that's where a lot of new different things in comics started to happen.
Oh yeah, there was some great stuff going on.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't find a comic book store until like mid to late 90s. Was the first time I ever saw a comic book store.
Really?
And I've been going to that same store ever since.
Nice. Yeah.
It's still different owners, but it's still around, and it's moved to it's at its third location now in like 35 years.
Still going strong though.
Yep.
There's a comic store I go to check out everything. It just kind of finished remodeling, so to speak. I mean, they're still in the process of it, but they've kind of expanded into a business next to them. So they've kind of expanded their game room and like they've remodeled the place. It looks nice, They made good use of their COVID bit time. So now I'm just worried about them actually staying open business.
Yeah, especially I got a friend that runs a small chain of game stores in my area, and
Like board games or video games?
board games.
Oh, right.
Like board games, card games, miniatures, all that stuff.
Right.
But a big portion of what they would do in a big boost to their income was being able to have in-store gaming.
Right. Yeah, that's
and people will buy stuff. You get all the Magic players, and they're buying. They buy like extra packs, and they buy sleeves, counters, dice.
folder
Um,
for the
yeah,
cards and everything.
all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Now it's like they're open, but there's all these things in place, and you can't go in game. So it's like I'm not sure how long that they can actually stay. How do you run a store? They've got like a huge RPG section, of course. With
Right.
D&D, and D&D's got another beautiful book coming out in next month. And because of COVID, they're supposed to be out at the beginning of the month, and it got pushed back to the end of the month. But and how are people supposed to play D&D?
Right. Unless they go to like some big park and spread out,
And then what? You're like, no, I really rolled a 20. I swear to God, I rolled a 20.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah.
So it's just weird. Like I haven't played in like a month, but I was in a video game guild because I play Neverwinter Online, and they have a D&D room. So on Saturday evenings, a bunch of people get together and play the game, and they've got a room right above it in their Discord server that's set up for dice rolls.
Nice.
They'll teach you how to type it in correctly, and so you're all playing and sitting around, but you're all playing and sitting around either on your phone or your computer. So
right. Well, at least there's still some way to do it in person.
You gotta find new ways to do things, unfortunately. So
yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes after this, but hopefully we can all get through it, and a few things can go back to the way they were.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, who would you say are some big influences?
Let's see. Well, it's a lot of different things. Like I mentioned, Jeff Johns. He's a big influence as a writer to me. Let's see. Another influence for me, obviously, growing up was the work of Bruce Timm. Batman the Animated Series, Justice League. I grew up watching those shows and just how they did them, how they took the characters, put original spins on them, made them big. That influenced my work a lot of ways. Let's see. Who else? A lot of also influenced me is kind of some of the more adaptations of certain comics, like the movies or different TV shows. Because I haven't asked myself, okay, if I was doing it this way, how would I present it? And that kind of try and incorporate that in our stories. And really, it's also a lot of indie people around me. I look at what they do, and I just am amazed at what they do, and I try to aspire to do that same level of awesomeness that they do. If I had to pick, I want to say that my favorite artist and writer is Stefan Sejenik, the writer of Sunstone and like other indie projects he has. He's just got this great sense of humor with his book, and he knows how to really impact you with emotion, and his art style is incredible. He's doing his own work, and he's very successful at it. That took years to build an audience, but he just knows how to write a story, and he knows how to capture it. And so that guy is one of my heroes, and so is his wife, Linda, and she does her own comics, and she has the same sense of humor as him. She has all these different ideas, and they're made for each other, and they both do phenomenal work.
So she got her twisted sense of humor from him.
Sort of. It's not the same level of twisted sense, but it's a little bit of dumbassery humor, But it's pretty funny.
It's plain old silliness.
Yeah, it's humor that you would see in real life, and you can't help but laugh at it because this would happen in real life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So.
Now, what are you guys doing to promote on social media?
Well, it's a lot of different things. Often what we do is we repost a lot of our old stuff to kind of remind people what's going on. Recently, we've started posting some commissions we're doing of different ziner pieces to not only raise awareness of our project, but also raise awareness of other artists who are like struggling during all this. Our YouTube channel has been a big hit with that. We're using that to build an audience. We're making use of a different social media service to do different things and get people interested. We're actually thinking of expanding our services on YouTube and by bringing in creators like myself, different creators, talking with them, asking what it means for them to be original, or the creators what it means to be like a good writer, stuff like that. And we're also doing like original character reviews. So if you have like an original character that's just for fun, or a comic or a project, we're thinking about taking a look at them, bring them on, and just me and Webb are going to critique them, tell them what's good, tell them what can be improved, and just kind of create awareness of these other creators. And recently, and like this coming week, what we'll also be doing is we're going to go more into depth about some of the world of Zener. We're actually going to be like going more depth into his characters. We're going to go more depth about his world, what makes him tick. What can you expect in this universe? We're going to expand it more, but not so much spoil everything.
And what are you guys doing over on Twitter?
Let's see. Well, Twitter is actually a big influence right now. The big thing we're doing is with Twitter, it's not just about promoting our stuff. It's also taking an interest in other people's stuff. So we are commenting on other people's work. We are interacting with their topics. We are also promoting the other work, and we are trying to spread the awareness of indie support. Twitter is, for us, is a chance not to only support ourselves, but support others. So we're building an audience that way there. So we're reposting a lot of people's promotions. We're taking an interest in what other people have to say. We're trying to create forums of our own so we can get people interested in different topics. It's all about socializing on Twitter. That's what we're trying to do.
And outside of the ones that I've mentioned, well, you get the Facebook page as well.
Right. And Facebook, that's a big social site for us. And basically what we do there is we try to take advantage of all the groups we can. Energy or myself or one of our workers belongs to different groups, and we try to post our work there like all we can, in any group we can, try to raise awareness to a broader audience. We just joined a few more groups. We're creating awareness, and we're actually showing great results. We're getting reposts from people that we didn't get before. So, and our results show for themselves, because like on Twitter and Instagram, we've gotten over 300 followers, and our Facebook page is close to cracking 1,500 followers. And Instagram, we're also taking interest in that, posting new artwork there, and like updating our stories, trying to take advantage of that Instagram too, because that is a big art site. It's huge for the photos, but it's also huge for art. So we're using that as a way to get people interested in the art we can get presented with Zener.
Definitely, seems like you've got a good number already.
Yep.
With the followers on different platforms.
We do. But we want to make sure we have that good interaction and interaction and socializing. We want to make sure people are not just following our stuff, but they're responding to it. We want to make sure that they're interested enough to give a shout out or a comment or a critique, show that they're really taking an interest in them. And when we know we've done that with enough people, then we can launch. Yeah,
you got to get that engagement.
Yeah, it's all about the engagement, and we're slowly starting to develop that. It's going to take us a little while longer, but we're willing to put in the work, and we enjoy doing the work. And it's a lot of fun for us interacting with all these different creators, taking interest in their work, learning from them, meeting new people. It really is all about socializing and promotion, and it's a fun way to do about it. And if there's one thing I want to say to all creators out there is that you've got to be able to promote your stuff, and to do that, you not only have to take interest in your stuff, but other people's. You got to give a little to get a little. So self-promotion and interest. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yep.
Now, have you been on Indiegogo? It's not launched. It's just a prequel setup.
Yes. So right now we're using it as a preview to get people interested, kind of give them an idea what we're doing, and we're also using it to acquire email so people can stay up to date on our campaigns and what we have planned. So
people can go there. They can sign up for the email list.
Yep.
That way you can make sure they're always in the loop, and they'll know when this launches too. So
yes, it is about keeping them in the loop, but it's also it's about because we want them, because it helps us know that they're interested. We're building an audience that they're still interested. We want to keep them interested. And that's why on our preview page there's also links to our other sites like our website or our Twitter or our Facebook. We're just trying to keep everywhere and keep them interested, because this will happen eventually, but we got to build up to it. But we are making it happen.
Yeah, you want to have enough engagement that you're confident upon launch that
yes,
it won't be a problem going forward. You want to be able to push out a good amount of books.
Yes, because even though this is our second series, this will be our first crowdfunding experience, and we want to make sure it goes off without a hitch, because once we succeed in this one, we'll be able to launch more series and get more stories out and get more people interested. So it'll not only benefit them, it'll benefit us. So we are looking at this sort of as a business, but we're trying to be also thinking about it as a business for our customers too.
And if you had to sum up the line in 2 sentences to get people interested in this book, tell us what you'd say.
Well, I'll give him the hook that I used from the preview. If that's psychic powers, but fragile mentality, will he be a hero or will he be a villain? You shall see. So
that's gonna get him.
Yep, I'm hoping it does.
That's like the voiceover on the movie trailer.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, like usually when we think of pitches, we try to imagine it like a voiceover a movie, or like a title you would see on a movie poster. The little subtitle is like I don't know, like we're in the end game now, or here we go again. Just that little tagline that's like gets people, okay, I gotta see more. Because we spend a lot of time at movies.
Or Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Infinite cosmic power.
Itty bitty ribbit space.
God rest his soul. He knew how to sell a pitch.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, good morning, Vietnam.
That movie really got me, because all I ever wanted to do since I was 10 was be a DJ, and I ended up being a nightclub disc jockey for 30 plus years. So
that's awesome.
But so we're going to be looking forward to this coming out, hopefully beginning of 2021.
Yep. That's where we're hoping to at least start launching it,
And, because Rudy's like, how much worse can it get? Like, the funniest meme that I saw with everybody saying, can we please just jump ahead to 2021? Like, you do know 2021 is when Mad Max was, right?
That's true. I would forget that,
I'm like, I'll jump ahead to there, but I want his car.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably experience the Thunderdome if I had to.
Yeah, I would, but I'm like, I'd rather not.
Well, to me, like the funniest meme going around is like, in Ant-Man 2, like Paul Rudd's co-star in the beginning was like mentioning all the bad things that happened to him. It's like, but I got to keep the van. This is meme going around where he's like reciting all the 2020 stuff that's happened, and it keeps piling on as the year goes on. It's just like, it's sad, but it's funny at the same time,
The best part of his Ant-Man movies was not even him. It was his co-star that actually was the guy that got to keep the van.
Yeah.
But it was in the Ant-Man and Wasp movie when the Fed snag him and he just goes into storytelling mode like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He says a whole bunch of words, but isn't telling them anything.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted him to recite all the events in the Marvel history, and I'm a little sad they didn't do that.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
That would have been awesome.
That character is perfect. I've seen him in so many different projects.
Right. Yeah.
And I really like him, but I mean, the dumb obnoxiousness he put into that character for the Ant-Man franchise was just hysterical.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, man, crazy fine. Yeah, it's like it was nice. He was like the perfect like buddy, you know, for like that comedy, you know. I mean, it wasn't a favorite film, but it was like if it was like a buddy comedy feel to it, you know. It's just perfect for that.
So everybody, the links for Energy Comics and all their work is either up above or down below, depending on where you're watching us, whether this is on YouTube or Facebook. You can follow Alex and the crew at their Facebook page, on their Twitter that is very active, and just Google NRG Comics and you will find them on every social media platform.
Yep.
I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight, Alex, and we wish you all the best of luck. Hopefully, for all of us, next year is better.
Yes, thank you for having me, Will. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
We'll do this again sometime.
It's been great fun. We look forward to the book coming out next year.
Yeah, look forward to producing it.
You have a great night.
You too.